So I'll start with this simple drawing, and in this case we have it as normal drawing objects. It's not a block. We will convert it into a simple dynamic block. So for that I'll go to this create block icon and now give it a name. So let's name it as sink, and now select the pick point. And in this case I'll select this one as the pick point, the midpoint of this line. And now select the objects and select this complete object and press enter. Now make sure this allow exploding is checked and also this open in block editor is checked, and click on OK. Now a block will open in block editor, and now we can add different parameters and actions. So I'll start with the parameters, and I'll once again add the linear parameter which we have added in the previous lesson also. So I'll click on this midpoint and I'll click on this midpoint, and I'll specify a location for this parameter. Now we need to add actions to this parameter. For that I'll go to this actions tab, select the stretch action, now select the parameter, and now select the point to which you want to associate it, and this will be the point. Now specify the first corner of the frame and include all of these objects. Now make sure that this central part of this sink is also included, and let's click here. And now once again make a crossing window to select the same objects just like this and press enter. Now go to stretch action again and select the same parameter, and this time specify this as the parameter point, and now click on this point somewhere at this point and make another window, and now again click at this point and make another crossing window just like this and press enter. Now we have our block defined. Now let's test it. So I'll click on this test block, and now when you click on this block you'll notice that we have these two grips, and using these grips we can increase its length on either of its side. But in this case if you'll notice the block can be stretched asymmetrically, and the center of this sink is now moving according to the grip. So in order to resolve this problem we can redefine this block. So I'll close this test block window, and now I'll select this distance 1 parameter. Now right click, select properties, and now go to this miscellaneous panel, and from this base location select midpoint, and now close this property panel and once again go to this test block. Now let's select this block again, and now let's stretch it, and now you'll notice that we are able to stretch the block in both the directions using a single grip obviously, and also the center of this block or the sink is fixed in this case. Now let's close this test block window, and now we can add an increment value also to this block. So in this case we are able to uniformly add this block, add length to this block. But if you want to allow some increment value, for example if you want this block to increase in length by a value of 10 units, then you can also do that. And for that once again I'll go to this distance 1 parameter and I'll go to properties. Now scroll down this list, and from this distance type select list. And now you can see that here we have some random value in the distance value. So click here and click on this small icon, and now we have the default value applied here. So let's change it to 800 and let's add it. Let's add 850 and let's add 900 also, and click on OK. Now let's close it and let's test the block. Now let's select it again, and now when you click on this grip you'll notice that we can only stretch it to an increment value of these distances which we have already applied, which is at a 50 unit interval. So we can only stretch it at an interval of 50 units. Now in this case also you can see that stretching on either side of the block will stretch it on the other side. So we can remove one of the grips from this block. So for that I'll again close this test block, and I'll select this distance parameter, and now go to properties, scroll it down, and from this number of grips I'll change it to 1. And also in this distance type I'll change this list to increment, and now I'll change the increment value. So in this case, I'll change the increment value to 200, and now the size of block will increase at an interval of 200 units, and that you can see with these markers. Now if you want to specify a maximum length that can be allowed, you can also add that value here. So I'll add a maximum value of 1200 units, and now press tab key and let's close it. And now once again go to this test block and now select the block, and now you'll notice that we only have a single grip, and when you click on this grip we have these many increment points, which is stretching the block by a 200 unit distance, and that's the maximum distance of 1200 which is allowed according to the property of this parameter. So now let's close this test block window, and also let's save the block and close block editor, and here we have the final dynamic block with the applied properties.